get the feeling that things will be alright.
I'm here with President and CEO of United Way of Johnson County, Christine Scheetz. Christine, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We wanted to talk a little bit about the Volunteer Center. Now, when you first came on board at the United Way, the Volunteer Center the plans were in the works, but the flood caused you to accelerate those plans a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about why you did that and how it's been going?
Certainly. First of all, one of the goals of the Volunteer Center was always to be prepared for and to mobilize volunteers in the event of a disaster. That's one of the functions of a community volunteer center. We didn't know that that was going to be the first thing that we would be doing, but of course it was. We have in Patty Fields, our Director of Community Impact, a wonderful volunteer manager. And certainly we couldn't have done this without the partnership of Iowa City, Coralville, and Johnson County. We have had volunteers, individuals who have contacted the Volunteer Center, and then we have had groups of volunteers.
So you matched needs with those people who could come into the community or who are in the community to provide for those needs.
Yes, we do. We have been hearing from homeowners, from business owners also who needed assistance, and then we were able to match those groups. In terms of households, we have registered 113 households and have helped them early on. All of the work was really related to mucking out houses, tearing out drywall, helping to move debris out to the curbside for removal, and just the massive clean out and the very dirty work that was involved with that. And we were hearing from homeowners that were having estimates done that it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000 to $30,000 to have that work done professionally. So when we look at what has been contributed by volunteers, I mean, that alone is about a $2 million savings to people in our community.
So really a clear indication of how important such a center is in a community, not only for disasters, but now as we move past flood recovery, I'm anticipating that the Volunteer Center will continue to do these kinds of matches. What are you seeing outside of flood recovery? Are you seeing a lot of calls yet for that?
We really expect and are starting to see increasingly the mental health issues that are associated with going through a disaster of this kind. Those issues, as well as some of the other things that are brought on by tremendous stress, by loss, by changes in circumstances and living conditions, certainly contribute to some long-term impact within our community, and we really want to make sure that the Health and Human Services community is prepared to address those needs.
So the Volunteer Center is almost just a tip of the iceberg. I mean, people think of a Volunteer Center as a place where people call in and they get this match, but you're doing obviously so much more to help the community have the resources, the human resources and the volunteer resources to move forward from this disaster and for other needs, I'm assuming.
I think one of the things that sometimes when people think about United Way, they think about a fall campaign and that it's sort of a one time a year, we collect money, we give money out. And that really isn't the vision that our United Way has in this community. We really believe in United Way being a part of the community and working to address needs all the time and helping the community grow and be stronger and healthier every day of the year.
So in that, with the Volunteer Center and the work that you do, how do you possibly train volunteers or work with these volunteers to give them the background and the skills that are needed to bring to this work?
Again, I look to our partners for how we have been able to do that. I mentioned in the rebuilding effort, certainly there are partners who have the expertise that are needed. Habitat for Humanity, the Consultation on Religious Communities, and of course this summer AmeriCorps Vista has been invaluable to us. We've had a partnership with AmeriCorps since July 1. I mentioned the governor's visit. That was what he was here for, was to announce that there was an expansion of the AmeriCorps Vista program to allow for many more individuals to sign on for short-term assignments in the Iowa City, Coralville, and Corridor area to help with recovery. And with that partnership, they brought a lot of training resources, and they were able to be on the ground and out in the field to help volunteers who were coming to a work site and preparing them for everything they needed to do.
You mentioned the fall campaign, which you are now in the middle of, and I've got my Live United t-shirt on because I know that that's your theme. It's a real challenge to move a campaign and a community that's been really focused on a disaster to look at the broader needs in the community, and how have you been talking about that and doing that?
Well, I think that in some ways the flood helped people really think about needs in a way that might not have been as apparent if you weren't thinking about the fact that every day there are people in our community who have the types of basic needs, the kinds of things that we think of as really essential for existence. And so in some ways these needs have been highlighted through a disaster and made more apparent.
Do you think something like a flood helps people understand that we're all very close to having needs that your agencies and United Way agencies could help meet? I mean, we're all really just one disaster away from needing services, and people you would have never expected to be needing services are this year.
And there are people of all circumstances, all income levels, all types of housing that were affected by this flood. And so I do think that helps people understand that we're one natural disaster. Sometimes I think of it in terms of we're one catastrophic illness, and certainly the network of agencies that United Way works with and the planning that United Way does throughout the year really exists for that purpose.
And we're lucky to have those services here in Johnson County. So thank you for being here, and thanks for all the work that you do. I know you work very hard. I mean, it can't be easy to be a new president and CEO of an organization that sort of finds itself in the middle of a community disaster. But thank you so much, Christine, for being here.
Thank you.
Then you get the feeling